Welcome, everyone. Today, we're venturing into the depths of Shawnee State Forest and the surrounding area, also known as Ohio's Little Smokies. This is more than a story. It's part of my ongoing search for the truth behind one of North America's greatest mysteries, Bigfoot. While most of my encounters with the unexplained have occurred closer to home, I have always been drawn to the dense forests of southern Ohio. Growing up, some of my most vivid memories came from late-night raccoon hunts with my dad in the rugged terrain of Devil's Half Acre and God's Garden. My job was always the same: hold the flashlight steady, or if I wasn't up for the task, I would be left alone sitting in the truck, waiting in the dark with nothing but the distant howls of coyotes and the rustling of unseen creatures beyond the tree line. More than once, our hunting dogs refused to cross certain trails, tails tucked and ears pinned back, which always sent a shiver down my spine. My dad never said much about it. He would just give me a knowing look and move on. But sometimes we'd hear branches snap or a knocking in the distance, too deliberate to be the wind and too heavy to be a deer. Even then, I sensed that something else was out there, something watching just beyond the reach of our flashlights. Now I'm exploring 4 chilling encounters that took place in these forests and surrounding areas. First-hand experiences that challenge our understanding of what may still be hiding in these remote lands. Before we begin, let's consider the rich history of Shawnee State Forest. Shawnee State Forest covers an impressive 63,747 acres, making it the largest state forest in Ohio. Renowned for its rugged terrain, steep ridges, and deep hollows, this region has long been associated with mystery. Established in 1922, its history stretches back much further. In the mid-1800s, extensive stone quarries operated in this area, extracting materials for Cincinnati's grand architectural projects. Later, during the 1930s, the Civilian Conservation Corps constructed roads and lakes, leaving behind remnants of their work. Among the forest's most secluded regions, approximately 8,000 acres remain untouched, prohibited from logging or road development, creating a perfect sanctuary for something, or someone, to hide. Beyond its history, one fact remains undeniable. Strange occurrences have been reported in these woods for decades. The following 4 encounters come from different individuals over several decades, yet they share one compelling similarity: an unexplained presence exists within Shawnee State Forest. Encounter 1. The figure on Timlin Hill Road, 1986. A late-night drive turns into a terrifying experience. October nights in Portsmouth are crisp, filled with the rustling of leaves and the occasional call of an owl. In 1986, 3 high school friends were returning from a football game, their car winding through the twisting turns of Timlin Hill Road, a secluded shortcut near an abandoned Montessori school. As they rounded a bend, their headlights illuminated something crouched in the middle of the road. It was not human, nor animal, but something else entirely. In a single motion, the creature rose to its full height, revealing an unnaturally tall, lanky frame, its long arms hanging past its knees. In just 3 massive steps, it leapt off the road, disappearing into the thick brush. The 3 teenagers sat in stunned silence, unable to process what they had just seen. When they finally spoke, one of them was near tears, the other in shock. They raced back to the location but found only broken branches where the thing had vanished. To this day, the witness, now in his 50s, remembers the gray, almost silver-colored fur of the creature, its thin, sinewy body, and its unearthly ability to move with impossible speed. A trick of the light? An animal out of place? Or something else entirely? Encounter 2. The Shadow in the Cut Rock Area, 1990 and 1980. A decade apart, but always watching. In 1990, an 18-year-old camper sat by his fire in the Cut Rock area of Shawnee State Forest, a region known for its winding ridges and hidden trails. His friends joked about feeling watched, but he brushed it off until he saw something moving along the tree line. The moon illuminated the scene just enough to make out a massive, hulking figure walking hunched over yet unmistakably upright. Red eyes flashed in the firelight, unblinking and unafraid. The figure stood over 7 feet tall, its broad, muscular chest covered in thick black fur. As quickly as it had appeared, it vanished into the ravine, leaving only eerie silence in its wake. Was it a coincidence? Perhaps. Except that 10 years earlier, in 1980, the same witness had seen a similar figure from his bedroom window at the edge of the forest. 70 feet away, across a small stream, it stood motionless, watching. His dogs whimpered and cowered beneath the porch, unwilling to chase the intruder. Both times the creature disappeared without a sound, but both times the witness was left with the same gut-wrenching realization: he was not alone. Encounter 3. The Hunter and the Hollow. 1985. A lone hunter learns why some places should be left undisturbed. June 1985. A father and his 2 sons set out on their first and only hunting trip in the deep woods of Shawnee State Forest. They were city boys, raised in Dayton, unfamiliar with the ways of the wilderness. But their father, a man who had grown up in these parts, wanted to show them the land. The sun hung high, casting its warmth over the hollows and ridges. The birds sang, the leaves rustled, until everything fell silent. A foul odor filled the air, something rancid, musky, and suffocating. Then, from just 30 yards away, the young hunter saw it. At first he thought it was a bear, sitting on a large rock. But as he crept closer, the truth hit him like a hammer. This was no bear. The creature stood upright, towering at least 8 feet tall, with thick, dark brown hair. Its massive arms dangled at its sides, and its head seemed to sit directly on its shoulders with no visible neck. It didn't turn, didn't acknowledge him. It simply sprinted away with unnatural speed, covering a 30-foot clearing in just 4 strides. Panicked, the young hunter ran back to his father, only to find him tense and alert. "We should leave now," his father whispered. "Some things can't be explained." They never went hunting again. Encounter 4. The ATV Pursuit, 2012. A terrifying chase through the backwoods. In 2012, a young man was riding his ATV with his 4-year-old cousin on private property near West Union when something terrifying happened. The ATV rider is followed by an unidentified creature. Halfway up an old cattle road, he heard heavy footsteps pounding behind him. When he turned around, his blood ran cold. A 10-foot-tall, hairy figure was sprinting up the hill toward them. It was fast, far too fast, closing the distance with massive strides. In its huge hands it clutched a small log, almost as if it were a weapon. He floored the ATV, pushing it to 30 miles per hour, but even then, the creature wasn't far behind. Then, just as they were reaching the edge of the woods, the figure hurled the log at them. It landed behind them with a heavy thud. When they returned the next day, the log was gone. Final thoughts. Are these encounters proof? Even today, the Shawnee State Forest remains a hotspot for unexplained sightings. With 8,000 acres of untouched wilderness, it's the perfect place for something large, intelligent, and elusive to remain hidden. The question remains, could something from the past be hidden in the dense forests of Ohio? Or are these sightings merely cases of mistaken identity or optical illusions? Whatever the answer, one thing is certain: those who have seen it will never forget. Thank you for joining me on this expedition. If you have had a strange encounter in the forests of Ohio, I want to hear about it. Until next time, happy hunting.